you're the favorite to win this fight. So how does that affect you going into this?
Like you said, I started in one championship as an underdog, going against Wonder Girl. She was like on a tear at the moment or at the time. And then a bunch of other fights I've been the underdog as well. So it really doesn't phase me whether I'm the favorite or the underdog. I think it's always cool to be the underdog. You have a little chip on your shoulder to show what's up and show that, you're about it. But I think just starting off my career of being on both sides, it doesn't phase me.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome to the champ, Jackie Buntan, chasing another world title against Stella Hemmersberger at One Fight Night 35. Kickboxing and Muay Thai, one on each shoulder. That's a pretty great prospect, right?
Oh, it's the dream, I envision it and it's almost time to get it.
How long has this been part of the plan?
Ever since I got signed to the company, honestly, right before I turned professional, so it's been years in the making.
How did you get on this pathway in the first place? How did you fall in love with kickboxing and Muay Thai?
You know, I I'm not like every other fighter where they're like, "This is my dream as a little kid." This is not my dream since I was a little kid. This is something that just, happened throughout the journey of me training. I totally thought I would go the traditional route of finish college and work in whatever whatever degree I end up getting. But yeah, one thing that remained constant since I was a kid was the passion and love I had for Muay Thai, which of course led to me getting better, led to me getting wanting to have more challenges, and that came into fighting and competing. So, the rest is history, but this is something that kind of happened and unfolded throughout my journey.
What is it about you that makes you great at this? Because your average person couldn't step in there, let alone become a world champion.
Yeah, to be honest, sometimes when I'm not training, I'm just doing something on my off days, I kind of like, wow, this is what I do for a living. It's kind of still surprising. But I don't know. I think I've always been a resilient, person since I was a young girl dealing with, certain hardships or just dealing with life in general. And I think that translates well into fighting. I don't shy away from hard things or uncomfortable situations, that kind of just makes me wanna work harder towards something.
We've seen a generation of super strong, super inspiring women in one championship, especially when your teammate Janet Todd before you. Now you're the new generation. What does it mean to you to have little girls looking up to you?
Oh, it means the absolute world, I say it to Janet all the time, but, you can't be what you can't see, and it's so true. Especially being a Filipino American, having other little girls who can find any sort of relatability in my story, in my journey, in me, period, that's a win for me. Representation is absolutely everything, I think, and that's what inspires people to do great things, I think. That's what inspired me. So being able to be the new generation to bring that on for the younger generation, it's just a full circle thing.
How are the Filipino fans with you? We know that fighting culture is such a huge part in their history.
Oh, they are ride or die. They have my back 200%. Whether it's a win or a loss, whether I'm not even fighting, I'm just stagnant, training, they're supporting me 1,000%. So it means the world. They're such passionate people, and that really showcases in their support.
I spend a lot of time now covering American sports. For such a giant sporting nation, can you kind of evaluate where the US is in terms of Muay Thai? Do you think there's still a way to go? You would expect the US to have a lot more champions. You're kind of flying the flag at the moment.
Yeah, I think it still has a long way to go. Not to say that, we're starting from the ground up, but it's have such major improvements throughout the years ever since I started. There's younger girls, younger boys starting, younger than when I started. And they're competing at a younger age, and they're even like super good at a young age. So I think that's the proof in the pudding is just showcasing the talent that these kids have at such a young age. I think that just shows how the next generation will be and the future generation. So we still have a way to go, but we are building, and I definitely do see that. I see the momentum.
Who is your favorite male fighter to watch from the US in Muay Thai?
Mm, it's a good amount. I guess I would say Eddie's very cool, fellow Filipino, of course. But I've always been a fan even before he was in one championship. His whole silky smooth style is very cool to watch, and I think it's very unique, not a lot of people move like him.
Yeah, super fun, super technical. What about when you were a kid? Was there anybody who inspired you to get into martial arts?
Yeah, it was my brother-in-law actually. He was just training Muay Thai and Eskrima for fun, a whole bunch of martial arts, just for hobby. And I was always, I don't know, around 11, I was really interested in doing a martial art, but I didn't want to do taekwondo or karate at the time. I had no idea what it was, but it just didn't seem like it was for me until he introduced me to Muay Thai, and I was like, wow, this seems so straightforward. It's like essentially boxing and kicking. And at the time, I was like, I've never seen this. So that really intrigued me. But I give it to my brother in law. He's the one who introduced me to it.
What's the best piece of advice anyone's ever given you to help set you on this path to becoming a champion?
Oh man, there's been loads of advice. I'd say, I probably it's kind of recent, not that recent, but I guess through Janet, through her career and her work ethic, and it inspires me so much and still does. But she would always say something like in her fight camps, and when she feels super stressed out or, the weight is on her shoulders, she would say, no one's forcing me to do this. I'm doing this on my own. I willingly want to do that. And it seems so simple to somebody outside of the sport or somebody who doesn't compete, but as an athlete, that just kinda was, like, woke me up. I was like, "Whoa, you're right." That kind of you're able to if you kinda think of that how that perspective throughout fight camp, throughout your training, for me at least, it takes some stress away. You remember why you're doing this. You did it because you love it, you're doing it because it's fun. Obviously, the stressors come as you get higher up in that totem pole, but yeah, that really stuck with me.
How do you maintain your mental health in a game like this where the stakes are so high and the pressure is so much? And is there anything you think we need to do better to look after fighters and their mentality?
Yeah, I think that there's a whole bunch of things that work for different people. And I think that stigma is starting to get broken in this day and age, especially with fighting and combat sports. It's kind of like people think of it as old school, is where like you're hurt mentally, physically, it doesn't matter. You keep going, you go harder. I've been lucky enough to not have that motto for myself, and my coaches definitely don't believe in that either. So I've been lucky at that. But for me, I think it's super important that I maintain a balance of my life as an athlete and outside of me being an athlete. Essentially it's all one in one. I'm the same person, but I make sure I have the time I need with my friends, my family, my boyfriend. Like I really do balance that and try my best to balance it. I think if it's Muay Thai training 24/7, I would go crazy. And I think for unfortunately it is like that for a handful of athletes. And I know not a lot of people have maybe that same mindset, but that's something that helps me 100% is just having that fine balance.
I enjoyed that package I think one championship put out where you're 1 second you're modeling and super glamorous and the next you're just like throwing slicing elbows. Like how do you enjoy that balance of being able to be like super glamorous modeling and then a total badass the next?
Yeah, again, it just like essentially that's just me at my core. I'm not. I really don't think I'm one dimensional. Like, yes, this is a big part of my life. This is my career at the moment, but it's not absolutely everything. You take this out. You take this out of it. I feel like I'm a normal girl. I love beauty. I love fashion. I love going out on a date night. I love going out on a girls' night. So I don't shy away from that. And I don't know, just being authentically myself. These opportunities came along. So.
I was looking at your page. Can you tell us about your OnlyFans journey? Because I feel like fans can catch up with a lot of your camp or fight content, like preparation there. How's it been with them? Are they a big sponsor for you?
Yeah, huge, probably one of my biggest partnerships to this date. It's been like a few months with them. They're absolutely amazing company, great team as well. But yeah, I put up only training footage up there, all like the behind the scenes. On Instagram you see some quick little pad work, cool and all, but on my OnlyFans it's like longer videos, full on training sessions. You get to see what I'm actually working versus just the highlight reel of things. But yeah, it's really just the gritty work, the behind the scenes work that is probably too long for people on Instagram.
We've seen fighters like Paige Van Zant say they made way more on OnlyFans than they ever did on fighting. Can you make a lot of money? And also, do you feel like you use it for what it was kind of traditionally meant to be used for in the beginning?
Yeah, exactly that. It was made for that fan interaction. It's not just for athletes, whether you could be an artist, a makeup artist, a singer, whatever. It's anybody who wants to interact with their fans. I think Paige Van Zant is and I are using it in two complete different ways. So I don't I believe you can make a whole lot of money. All power to the people who are able to do that. Mine is very much so just athletic life, training, all that. But even with that, I was still kind of, it's like, do people really want to see this? But people want to see it. People want to see the behind the scenes footage of what it takes to compete at the highest level.
Are you having fun discovering your identity in terms of content online? Because I feel like it's such a big part of the fight game. And sometimes young fighters don't know how to market themselves or how to sell fights or what side of themselves to show online. Have you enjoyed that part of the journey? Like, do you have any advice for fighters?
Yeah, I definitely enjoy that. I mean, I've always been interested in the whole branding aspect itself, period. Creating a brand, whether that's a materialistic thing or for your own self. Um, But yeah, especially for fighters, athletes in general, in this day and age, it's so important. But my biggest thing, and this is speaking from my own career and how I do things, it's like it seems so simple. Someone would probably just be like, okay, duh, but it's truly just post whatever you want. Like, don't do it for the fans. Don't do it because you think it's going to get a bunch of views. Like, do it because it's authentically you. And, that's what I've been doing way before. Even when I first got on social media, I would just post whatever I thought I was cool, whatever I wanted. It would be food, dogs, whatever, my friends, a selfie. Um, but yeah, I think authenticity sells, and through authenticity is relatability. So if anyone can find anything to relate to in your story, your journey, even if it's something super small, that's a win.
You've been the underdog and the favorite, I think, in your career. You're the favorite to win this fight. So how does that affect you going into this?
No, I mean, it always feels great being a favorite. You feel like you have loads of support going into such a big night, you're about to fight somebody. So it feels great having that extra support. But like you said, I started in one championship as an underdog, going against Wonder Girl. She was like on a tear at the moment or at the time. And then a bunch of other fights I've been the underdog as well. So it really doesn't phase me whether I'm the favorite or the underdog. I think it's always cool to be the underdog. You have a little chip on your shoulder to show what's up and show that, you're about it. But I think just starting off my career of being on both sides, it doesn't phase me.
The atom weight division seems much deeper. Do you invite those girls to come up and come challenge?
Sure, if they want to. Right now my focus is on Stella, of course, and getting this second world championship. But yeah, I mean, have no interest in going down in weight. So
How's the preparation been for this one? What are you excited about in terms of what you can share?
it's been great. I always like to keep things secret until fight night, but I think every fight I always want to perform better than my last one and showcase new tools, whether that's an actual move or just being able to showcase that, hey, she can adapt on the fly. I think to me that's the biggest thing in a fighter is having adaptability in there because anything can happen within any second. So if I'm able to showcase all of that, which I know I will be, it's gonna make for an entertaining night for the fans.
Do you have anything left on your bucket list if you deliver this? Is there places you got to fight, things you got to do?
Man, at the moment, I can't think of any, but just because you said it, places like, of course, US. I'd love to fight here on home turf in the States. I'd love to go back to the Philippines and fight there again. The energy was amazing when I fought out there. So yeah, first, of course, Thailand, get this belt, and let's see where it goes after that.
How pleased are you to see Stamp coming back to kickboxing and Muay Thai? She's taking on Kanna in Tokyo. Will you be watching that?
Yeah, definitely. That's gonna be a big one, Kana, I'm a fan of her. She's a friend of mine. She came to Boxing Works years ago to train with us. Such a nice girl. Stamp's such a nice girl too, but Stamp being out for so long, I think all the fans have been excited and waiting patiently for her to get back in there. So it should be exciting.
Alicia Helen Rodriguez seems to be creating a bit of a modern dynasty in that division. Just how good is she, in your opinion?
Yeah, Alicia's great. She's obviously champion and defending champ for a reason. I think it shows in the work ethic and it shows in the fight. So I'm a fan for sure.
Who do you think in one championship right now is the gold standard in terms of everything they're doing in and outside of the ring?
Ooh, tough question. There's a whole lot. Um, but being a woman, I gotta showcase other women. I think it's only right. But just because we mentioned it, Alicia, I think she's awesome, defending her belts back to back. She's a mom at that. I hear she wants to go into MMA. That would be just so insane. So, she puts in the work and she puts it out there for sure when it comes to the fights.
Can you tell us a bit about Brian? Like, he's super supportive. I see him sharing the articles and stuff. What kind of a coach is he? Because his influence on American Muay Thai the last decade or more has been huge, right?
Yeah, no, Brian, he's like family to me besides being a coach. He's been my only coach since I started when I was 11 years old, so it's been a very long time. Um, but yeah, he's extremely supportive and he's just a wizard at Muay Thai, wizard at combat sports, the eye of the attention to detail he has and the eye he has to see such subtle nuances is beyond me. It's as subtle as things that like I have to go home and think about it. Like, what is like how did he see that or what you know what I mean? Like, so there's really no other coach like him, I think, and I think it shows in my success.
So to wrap up, for fans who've never seen you fight or just discovering you or just come across your page, what can they expect from you and how do you want to be remembered as a fighter?
I think you guys can expect always an entertaining fight, a good pace, good power. I think Stella's gonna bring that as well. You wanna see your fellow Filipino American, representing Los Angeles, California. I feel like there's few at that, so I feel like that's enough for you guys to tune in, and yeah, I just wanna be I think every fighter wants to be remembered as a great. I want you guys to remember that I'm 100% authentically myself, and yeah, that's about it.
Always great to see you do what you do best and always great to chat to you as well. Maximum respect. Thank you so much, Jackie.
Of course, you as well. Talk to you soon.